Hey everyone, if you're watching this video, you're probably a type 1 diabetic that's wanting to do better. If you've been here before, you know my name's Levi, this is Between Two Lines, and that's what this channel is all about. Over the years, I found many fantastic ways to screw up type 1 diabetes. I put together this channel because I've turned it around and now I want to help you avoid some of those mistakes I've made along the way. Today's video is the bolus, or the injection. That moment's important. It plays a big role on how your blood sugar is going to be for the next few hours, and often we neglect it. Today we're going to talk about why we do that and how to fix it so that moving forward we can deal with high or low blood sugar less often. Let's do it. If you watch this channel regularly, you know I don't beat around the bush and I don't waste a bunch of your time. So let's jump right into it. Today's topic, the bolus. Forgive me back and forth during the video as I call it injection or bolus. I've done it both. I've done pumps and insulin injections and I just use the words interchangeably. That moment though, where it's time to do it, often gets neglected. I've done it 1,000 times. I know why I do it. I know what happens when you don't. I know y'all do too. If you forget, your blood sugar is sky high. If you delay, and oh my goodness, I forgot to get my shot, and you finally give the injection. Now you're probably going to be doing this roller coaster, and you know if you just half do it and don't gauge your insulin correctly, and just give an amount, then all of a sudden you're high and you're trying to decide, do I stack insulin on top of that insulin to get it back down, or am I going to go low in 30 minutes because I did? It just makes things really frustrating and complicated. So if we know that's going to happen, why do we do it? Why don't we give that our full undivided attention? Because it's only a few moments. Well, let's talk about it. I've given it a lot of thought, written down all the reasons in the past and currently still do not give that bolus the attention it deserves. And I think everything fell into one of three categories. The first one was time. The second one, attention. And the third category was plans. What I mean by that is time as in I don't have enough. I'm running late, I'm in a hurry, and it affects whether I give the right amount of insulin, I give insulin at all, or I give insulin on time. The second one was attention. Maybe I don't want the attention that moment's going to bring, so I don't do it, or I wait till I can slip away and give the shot or the bolus. Maybe I don't want the attention that I'm going to have to give up to go do it, meaning maybe there's something I'm doing that I'm really enjoying, or there's a movie that is going on and I really like it, or there's a great conversation happening at the table and I don't want to have to deal with that right now, so I'm just going to ignore it for now. Thirdly, plans, meaning hey, something that's getting ready to happen is impacting my decision to bolus accurately. Maybe I'm going to be out in the middle of nowhere where I have no snacks. Well, and then I decided to kind of half my insulin so I don't go low in the middle of the woods. That would be time. So let's jump into those three things in a little more detail. Talk about some of the things that cause it and why you don't want to do that anymore. Because fixing it, that's the easy part, right? You don't need me to write you a book on how to fix it. The answer is simple. Take the time right then, calculate how many carbohydrates you've eaten, and give the appropriate amount of insulin, and things will be a lot easier. So let's jump into why. The first category or reason for not giving your bolus priority is time. That one's the most obvious of the three. I mean, how many times have you gotten up in the morning, eaten breakfast, been rushing out the door, and halfway to school or halfway to work realized, I forgot to give my insulin, and you look at your blood sugar and you're just skyrocketing. So why did that happen? It's because you were running late, or you were running behind schedule, or you were in a hurry to get somewhere and you forgot. Or maybe you didn't forget, but you just kind of winged it and kind of guessed at the carbs you ate and just moved on because, hey, at least my blood sugar is not going to be sky high in an hour. It may not be perfect, but it'll be close and I'll deal with it when I get where I'm going. So a lot of times time influences how well you bolus. You can't let that happen. You gotta take a moment and slow down and say, okay, I know I'm running late. How many carbs did I eat? Take the moment, figure it out, give the insulin. That way, when you get to where you're going, things are great there too. Because when you don't, a lot of times you get where you want to go. Maybe if you're running late for school or something, you get to school and your blood sugar is crashing as soon as you get there because you just guessed at your insulin when you left the house. Or you're sky high and now you've got to figure out, okay, do I give more? And then do I stack the insulin? Am I going to crash in 30 minutes? You know, you start playing Russian roulette with your insulin pump, trying to figure out what the correct amount of insulin is. Take the time to bolus or give the injection and calculate your carbohydrates and give yourself the insulin that you need. It's going to make things easier if you take the time now than when your blood sugar forces you to take the time in 2 hours when it's sky high or bottoming out. Category number 2, attention. This is a big one for me. A lot of times attention is what prevents me from either giving a bolus correctly, giving the right amount, or giving it on time. When I say attention, I don't mean embarrassment. Please don't confuse that with embarrassment. Maybe that is something for you where you're embarrassed and you don't want the attention that giving that bolus is going to bring because you don't want to talk about diabetes. So if you do get embarrassed, that fits under this attention category. But what I really mean is, sometimes I don't want the attention of the conversation that's going to bring. Am I ashamed that I'm a diabetic because I don't want to talk about it? No. Obviously, I make videos and put them out on the internet, so I'm comfortable talking about it. But maybe I'm at dinner with some new friends that I haven't told I'm a diabetic yet. Because if you met me in person and didn't know I was a diabetic, I'm not going to tell you right off the bat. You guys know there's a stigma, and all of a sudden there's oh my goodness, everybody wants to talk about it for a minute. Oh, did you eat a lot of sugar as a kid? Or, oh, you got to give insulin shots, huh? Or you can't have any candy, can you? A lot of times I don't want to deal with that attention. So I may wait for a moment to slip off to the restroom to give the shot or the bolus, or I may look down and just kind of hammer one out, guesstimating what I've eaten, and I'm just kind of winging it, which we already talked about. It creates problems a couple hours down the road. Sometimes I don't want to sometimes it's not the attention on me that I'm wanting to avoid. It's taking my attention off something else. Maybe I'm watching a movie, or maybe I'm out and there's a great conversation happening at the dinner table that I want to walk away from. Or maybe I'm in a meeting. Maybe there's a lot of times there's attention that I'm giving that I don't want to take away to give to my diabetes. Well, as I've talked about in previous videos, diabetes is very jealous. If you don't give the attention now at the time of the bolus, it's going to demand your attention 2 hours later when your blood sugar is jacked up. Give it the attention right now. Take the moment. Give it the correct amount of insulin, and then you won't have to deal with it later in 2 hours because your blood sugar will be in range. The third category is plans. This affects me a lot more depending on the time of the year, but depending on what I'm about to do impacts and influences my bolus. Because let's say I'm going to go out to a ball game and I'm not going to have anything with me. I may go less on my insulin just so I don't go low. Or maybe you're in school and you're like, hey, I got a test in 2 hours. The last thing I want to deal with is low blood sugar. I'm just going to let it run high. Or hey, I got gym or a workout coming up. I don't want my blood sugar to crash. I'm just going to let it run a little high going into it. A few months ago, there was a time where we went to some waterfalls, but there wasn't anything close by. So I couldn't afford to go low. It was a hike to get to there. So it wasn't like I had a bunch of snacks I was able to carry. So I let it run high. Should I have? No, it would have been better to have it in range and carry some glucose tablets to make minor adjustments than to just let it run high and feel terrible the whole time I was there. But again, I'll tell you the times I screw up too. And I didn't give as much time to talking about plans because it's easy to fix plans by carrying the snacks you need. It took me a long time to figure that out. Carry the snacks you need, and you can just focus on being your blood sugar in range and have what you need in case you mess up. Never having the stuff you need makes your plans a lot bigger of a deal because you know you're never going to have the snacks, so it's going to be a catastrophe if something goes wrong. Carry the snacks you need, by the way, and the plans one be a lot easier. So I invite you to reflect on your life and the reasons why you wouldn't give the bolus a priority, and try to see what category they fit into. Is it time? Are you always running late, not giving it the time? Is it attention that you're not wanting on yourself, or attention you're refusing to take off something else to give your insulin? Or is it your plans, things coming up? Diabetes is very jealous. If you try to let it run high, or you try to just ignore it to get through a moment, the chances are very good that it is going to demand more of your attention than it would have if you had just given the correct amount of insulin. I wanted to talk about these because if you'll keep them in mind and commit to yourself that you're going to give the priority to the bolus, doing this will allow you to deal with your blood sugar highs and lows less often. Because as you guys know, and many of you have commented, when you don't and you're constantly dealing with the highs and the lows, that's what's so discouraging and can get us depressed and burn out being diabetic. Give this tiny moment your attention and then make life easier moving forward. If you're trying to do better as a diabetic and you haven't already subscribed, hit subscribe. My name's Levi. This is Between Two Lines.